All right, good afternoon, Fish to Grill. Hope you're having a great school of fish. My name is Fernando Garcia. I'm the fish buyer here at Ocean Beauty Seafoods in Dallas. I'm also the procurement and production manager here as well. So what we want to talk about a little bit is your Atlantic salmon fillet. So this is traditionally called a D-trim fillet. A D-trim fillet is skin on, as you can see here, pin bone out, which has no pin bones in it at all. And it's also cleaned up. So what you're gonna see is there's no fins here, there's no bones here. You can see the membrane is all being cleaned out. You have a clean belly. Also on this top side, there's gonna be no bones or no membranes. And this is a clean looking fillet. So this is considered a D-trim fillet. This is typically how you're gonna get most of your fillets when you receive them. And then this is gonna be the whole Atlantic salmon, which is pretty much what we're gonna be cutting your fish from. Very similar size. This is a 12-14, which is gonna get you that 3 to 4 pound size fillet, which you're typically looking for. As you can see, really clean belly in here. This is where you can see this bone here, this fin is right here is what we're cleaning off. So if we leave that on there, you're gonna have a real bad bite here. You're gonna have a little bit of cartilage and some bone. So it's real important that this gets cleaned. So that's what we're gonna show you. Here you have the fins here. Again, more fins. You got a back fin here. This also has scales on it. That's not important right now for you guys because you're all gonna be skinning yours in-house, which we're gonna show you as well how to do. And then your gills. You're looking for red gills on your fish. Red gills and clear eyes. And that real nice sheen color. You can see it has that shine, has a good resistance when you touch it. It pushes back. It's not sunken in. It's not dry. You can see it has a real nice color here and a real clean looking fish. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to go ahead and fillet this up for you. Want to show you, talk a little bit about it, and then do a side-by-side comparison. But this is a current clean fillet. This is what you're going to see currently when you receive it in-house. So we want to go ahead and show you how we do it, cut it, and we'll go from there. So please, Caesar, want to introduce Caesar? Go ahead and start with him. Caesar is one of our filleters inside our production area at Ocean Beauty. So he's primarily going to be cutting a lot of our salmon. So most of that salmon that's going to be coming to you is going to be going through Caesar. So he'll go ahead and get started and show you how it's done. So one of the important things here when Caesar is cutting a whole salmon is you notice he's going to cut behind the collar, which is right behind that first fin. And he's going to ride it all the way through the back of the head, trying to get that most meat as possible, okay? He's also gonna do a first guide cut. So he's gonna start at the tail, ride his knife along that spine, all the way along the backside, just riding the bones, okay? Not putting too much pressure, but just enough to maintain and feel the bones, okay? Gonna follow that first guide cut and just keep going all the way through. You can see how he lifts slightly. You're not grabbing or digging your thumb in, so you're not causing any breakage on the fillet, but he's just slowly rubbing his finger across and continually putting pressure on to lighten up that fillet. Okay. Once he's got a pretty much full cut, he's gonna slide the knife all the way through to where the belly is, and you'll see pretty good cut right here. See, look at that, not really any meat here. Really nice cut all the way to the top of the collar. So you can see you got most of the meat as much as possible. Good job, Caesar. You can do the other side. This side's a little bit more difficult, especially for someone who's not used to filleting. So real important that you hold firm pressure on this part of the fillet. So you see how Caesar left the head on. This is actually really good because it gives you a guide to be able to keep that fillet on the bone. Turns right there at the collar the same way and just rides that bone all the way down. A little bit easier on the second part once you get it going because you're just gonna ride that bone all the way through, okay? Real important to have a good sharp knife, not too small. You're looking for maybe about an 8-inch knife if you can use one that has a good amount of weight and size to go ahead and cut through most Atlantic salmon fillets. So again, you can see not a lot of meat on here, really clean cuts. Again, you can use this for whatever you can if you have reasons to use it for soup, for stock, for any other items. But otherwise, we'll move this aside for now. What I want to show you is this fillet. So this is a straight fillet right off. So again, we talked about it. You'll see your belly membrane right here, okay? You have your fin bone right here, which we're talking about. You're gonna have to cut that out. You also have this piece of cartilage here in the nape. You also have the tail, see? So you're gonna wanna clean this up, but he's gonna leave this on here because what we're gonna do is once we skin this is gonna be a little guide for him to have a little bit of skin to hold on to. But again, all this exterior fin, all this needs to be trimmed up here to get you that clean fillet, okay? Also, one thing when we get to it is you can see this is pin bone in. So anytime you have a fillet, always run your hand across real lightly, not too hard. You'll feel the bones just pop right up as you can see them here. Especially important to always check for bones because they'd be hidden. We check here every day when we send the product out. We double check everything, whether it's brought in boneless or we cut it in house. We're always checking for bones, but one may get through, so it's real important you always just run your hand across, double check for any pin bones, try to get those out before you process that fish. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go to the next step, which is Caesar cleaning up the whole fish, getting ready to skin it. So again, Caesar here is just riding that knife along the back side of the spine, just taking off that extra little bit of cartilage, not too much of the meat. Okay. You're gonna have to use a little bit of pressure there to get through that part of the skin because that's where that fins are at, but you got a sharp knife on there, you should be good to go. Okay. Same thing here on the membrane. You first wanna do is go ahead and take out that small fin bone right there. Kind of like a little C cut, you'll feel it. You can almost ride against it. You might have to go in a little bit deeper sometimes depending on the bone, but you want to completely get that out and you just run your finger along it and you'll feel that cartilage and the bone's gone. And then here to clean the membrane off, he's actually pushing away. So you're just using the edge of your knife to kind of push away that fat and that membrane to try to salvage as much of the belly as possible. You can always just cut straight down, but if you can, you want to salvage as much of that belly that's useful and good meat as much as possible. So you can see most of the exterior fins have all been cleaned up. Again, right here on the belly, still got most of that membrane off, still thick enough. Looks pretty good here. We got to do a little bit more trimming on the skin. So what we're gonna do is he left the tail on like we talked about. What we're gonna do is use this as a guide. So what he's gonna do is make an initial cut right here at the tail and use this as a guide to hold on to while he guides his knife all the way through and skins this fillet, okay? What's super important though is when you're skinning is that you have a really sharp knife and you're holding your knife at that angle. So you don't want to hold it too much at a 45-degree angle because you'll cut right through that skin, but you just want to keep it at a little slight angle and slight pressure. You'll feel it. It should be pretty smooth and just continue to guide it through. Don't push too hard, otherwise you tear through the skin. You can still get it off if that happens. You can use a pair of tweezers and pull the skin off a little bit so you can still get it off, but it's a lot easier if you have a sharp knife and just slowly keep your knife pressure at an angle all the way through. It keeps you, Caesar will show us by example. See how he grips that tail kind of as a guide, then he slides the initial cut in, and then you're just keeping your knife at that angle, consistent pressure all the way through. You can even wiggle the tail a little bit, pull towards yourself as you're pushing your knife away, but you want to let the knife really do most of the cutting. Yep. So you can see the backside here, all that skin is taken off. You don't have much bloodline here, just a little bit. So what the Caesar will do is go ahead and clean this up a little bit, make sure it looks real clean, and then he's gonna go ahead and start pin boning. So real important, guys, the first time whenever you want to do this, especially cut from whole fish, is you always want to check that collar. If you remember, Caesar cut that initial cut right by the head and then turned, you're going to have that little bit of bone here. So you always want to look in the front of the collar to see if you have a little piece of membrane, cartilage, or bone right here. And you start right here in the front. And then you just run your finger along. So you can run your thumb, slight little pressure on here, and you'll see the bones actually rise above. These are pretty obvious bones on Atlantic salmon. They're pretty durable too. So just get yourself a good pair of tweezers, and you can go ahead and start right here and pull through. One important piece that Caesar will do is you apply pressure, kind of like a pinch, but not too bad. And you do is you hold the pressure to be able to allow that to come out. Almost if you like have a splinter in your finger, you just want to kind of push a little bit of pressure, not too much that you're squeezing, but just enough to keep that pointed and up until you can go ahead and pull that without tearing any meat. So you'll see Caesar go ahead and do that. And take your time here, guys. Real important too. Like you see Caesar, he's pulling out that bone, taking his time. He's not using too much force because what that can do is actually tear some of the flesh, and that'll cause you a little bit of breakage on your portion. But once you get going, you'll find that right amount of pressure. Take your time, pull each bone out. Try to make sure you're grabbing a good firm grip. Your pliers, depending on it, may need to be rinsed off and dried periodically. Just with the natural moisture that the salmon has, make them a little slippery, and you don't want to break those bones off. So you want to make sure you're using dry. Keep a paper towel if you need, or a little dipping bowl of water. Rinse out your pliers so that you constantly have a good clean set of pliers. Okay? And again, once you're done completing them, just run your fingers over it again just to double check, and it looks good. Nothing, don't feel nothing, so that's a clean, nice fillet. So let's compare this side by side. Remember, this one is our typical D trim, which is, there you go. Yeah, and then we have our E trim right here, right next to it. Almost identical. So really good, clean job. Both very consistent here in size and in color. And then the only difference is again, we're gonna have skin on your D trim. That's how you're gonna be receiving it. And this is how it should be finished look when you guys are done processing it in-house. Okay. So again, appreciate your time. Thanks for having us here. And again, if there's anything we can do to answer any questions, please feel free to reach out to your sales rep. Anytime we can help, please let us know. And we appreciate your business. Thank you.